Now, don't be alarmed, but I am incredibly excited for today's state. I mean, truly, in my opinion, today's tree is easily one of the best that the eastern US has to offer. And it's also a state who on the official state tree map had to share the same tree as 2 other states. So it'll be really nice to give them their own unique piece this time. And a unique piece that I can already tell is gonna look so cool. I don't know how well you can tell from here, but it's just rad. Rad with a capital R. What do you have to say about it, Sal? What do you think?
This time it's the great state of Indiana, which I'm making out of a piece of American sycamore, Platanus occidentalis. A truly iconic tree native to huge swaths of the eastern United States, the American sycamore is tough to miss and easy to love. They can grow to absolutely massive sizes, usually reaching heights of 100 to 130 feet tall with a trunk diameter of 5 to 6.5 feet, but exceptionally large specimens can reach over 170 feet tall with trunks over 13 feet in diameter. It's also a long-lived species, usually reaching around 200 years and likely as long as 500 to 600 years. The tree is most famous for its characteristic mottled bark that flakes off in large irregular pieces, leaving the surface as a patchwork of varying layers in all sorts of colors. Shades of green, white, gray, orange, purple, and more. And to make this tree even more endearing, these massive motley trunks often divide near the ground, growing into several secondary trunks and twisting into wide, irregular, and captivating canopies. All this has made it a revered ornamental tree, although the more resistant London plane tree, which is a hybrid of the American sycamore and the Old World sycamore, has become the far more favored landscaping choice. Other characteristic elements of the sycamore tree are its lobed leaves, which are often mistaken for maple leaves, and its fruit, which come in the form of these little ball-looking things that are composed of tufted seeds that come off in clusters in the fall. Within its expansive natural range, the American sycamore is most often found in riparian and wetland areas, and it's found naturally throughout the state of Indiana, particularly in the Wabash River Valley, which is perhaps why it eventually became the mascot of Indiana State University. That's right, early on in the school's history, their mascot was unofficially the Fighting Teachers until students selected the name Sycamores in the 1920s, a choice I wholeheartedly support. More mascots that are just trees, please. The American sycamore doesn't have a ton of edible uses, although its sap can be boiled down and made into a sweet syrup, though its sugar content is much lower than, say, a maple tree's, thus requiring far more sap to make even just a little bit of syrup.
I'm gonna be honest with you all, I had kind of a hard time deciding what I wanted the extra something to be for today's video. It wasn't nearly as straightforward and easy to land on as say like Missouri's black walnut ice cream or some cedar plank salmon for Washington, or even that little ash mallet that we made for Pennsylvania. And a lot of that is, yeah, the things that we love about the sycamore tree aren't its uses, but just the tree itself, which I think is awesome. I think it's great that that's a tree that we love just because of the way that it is. It does make this segment a little trickier, but I've got an idea. You see, as I record this right now, we're only 2 days away from Thanksgiving, which means we're in the thick of pie season. I've got enough sycamore wood to make a nice little platter to serve up a piece of pie, so why don't we make Indiana's official state pie?
The sugar cream pie, also known as Hoosier pie, was designated Indiana's official state pie in 2009, though it held the unofficial title since the 1800s, where it originated in either eastern Indiana's Shaker communities or its northeastern Amish communities. The pie grew in popularity during the Great Depression as it required minimal ingredients that were plentiful on Indiana farms and homesteads, namely cream, sugar, and butter. You mix those together with a thickening agent like flour or cornstarch and then cook over a stove until it reaches a nice thick pudding-like consistency. Now that I've done that, I'm going to mix in a tablespoon of vanilla extract and pour it into my par-baked pie crust. Top with more butter and some freshly grated nutmeg. Then you throw it in the oven to bake until the crust is a nice golden brown, at which point you finish with a quick broil. Just don't overdo the broil like I did. I'm going to leave this out to cool to room temperature, at which point it'll go in the fridge to hang out overnight. So for now, let's get to making that plate. All right, when sycamore wood is cut into what are called quarter sawn pieces, it famously displays distinct patterns known as ray flecks that give the wood a lacy, freckled appearance. What are ray flecks? Well, I'm glad you asked. All right, let's think of wood as basically a tightly packed bundle of tubes that run up and down the length of the trunk or limb of a tree. Those tubes are cells that bring fluid and nutrients from the roots of the tree up to its leaves. Now, some cells, or tubes, instead of running up and down, run out from the center of the tree out to the outer bark. Those cells are called ray cells, and in some species of trees, they're large enough to be seen in the wood, especially when they're cut at that quarter sawn angle where the cells run parallel to the face of the board. And that's exactly what we're seeing in these pieces of American sycamore. sycamore. Sycamore wood is also infamous for its interlocking grain, which makes it extremely difficult to split and tough to work with. As a result, its traditional indigenous uses mostly include using large hollowed-out trunks to make massive dugout canoes. Its most frequent modern uses include making items like butcher blocks and boxes. It's sometimes used to make furniture, though again, more easily worked woods like maple are usually preferred. Although its eye-catching quarter sawn wood is prized by specialty woodworkers and hobbyists. As for me, I love this stuff. Look how gorgeous this plate turned out. The cool ray flecks in there, some beautiful colors. I'm super happy with it.
All right, it's the next day and this has been chilling in the fridge since last night. It's nice and set, but it's otherwise clearly not gonna win any beauty awards. I overbroiled it a bit, and to the good people of Indiana, I'm very sorry if I've just totally butchered your official state pie. Although I do have to say, for going in completely blind and just cobbling together a few different recipes, I'm kind of proud of myself and I cannot wait to dig into this. So let's cut a slice, serve it up on our brand new plate, and see how it turned out. I'll tell you what I'm really not confident in right now is serving up a really photogenic slice of pie. Come on, little buddy. It's moment of truth time. Okay. That is a top-notch pie. How have I never heard of this pie before? Indiana, why are you holding out on me? As advertised, this is indeed a sugar cream pie, and boy. When this entire series is all said and done, this might be the thinnest connection between tree and type of food that I make. Like, this has nothing to do with the sycamore, but I'm not mad about it. Oh boy.
All right, let's get back to finishing the state with some closing fun facts. The American sycamore likely got its name from English colonists who felt its leaves reminded them of the English sycamore, which is actually a type of maple tree. The American sycamore is also an ancient species with fossil records of it dating all the way back to the Cretaceous and Tertiary periods, where it made up a large part of the forest that once covered Greenland and the Arctic. But as for today, it's given us this really stunning piece for our map. I really couldn't be happier with how Indiana turned out. Just tons of awesome ray flecks in there, a great way to honor an awesome tree. It's looking fantastic on the board. So chime in and tell me your favorite thing about the sycamore tree, and let me know what state or tree you'd like to see next.